Hey, welcome back to another episode of RabbitWerks Live Coding. Tonight is episode 16 of the Tasker app series, and we're going to be working on some media queries and getting some components broken out, and we're going to get some stuff set up for our counter store that we're going to work with to keep track of some stats. Excellent, cool. We're working with Vue.js in this application, and yeah, it's coming along really nicely. So it's hosted on Netlify right now, live, so if you want to take a look at that, the link is in the chat as of now, and it is also in the description. Feel free to check it out, and it's fully functional, and yeah, play around with it and have some fun. Let me know of some bugs. Cool, let's get started. So music is brought to you by Free Code Camp Radio, and go check them out. Link is in the description. Pretty good stuff. Cool. And yeah, so if we look at the live streams to do, like I said a couple minutes ago, main focus tonight is really going to be we're going to take this X right here for delete step and break it out into its own SVG. And we've done that for the important step and optional step SVGs as well. That should go pretty quick. Get some media queries squared away. So if we take a look at basically when we're at like a mobile viewport kind of size, we want to fix this squishing right here, and so we'll figure out how we want to do that. You might want to just do the input on one line and just have the step label and the action buttons above it. So we'll see how that goes. And then depending on where we're at, I think I want to try and get some of these methods for the counter store set up. So cool, let's get into it then. So if we look at the first thing on our to-do list, delete step delete step to SVG component. Let's just fix the spacing on this just a tad bit. Alright, so let's take a look at, this is in our add steps component, I believe. Let's just get a refresher really quick. Yeah. So right here, our image, and kind of what we have going on similarly to the other two action buttons is that we have click listener, but so what I was figuring out is that when we're working with SVGs in Vue, the click listeners, if they are, so if we let's go into one of the other components and see what give an example here. So look at this important SVG. And if we go in here and we say, so the root level parent element is the SVG tag, and if we put a click listener on that, it won't register. It doesn't register for whatever reason. We can put it on the SVG path, and we can put it on a parent container div around the SVG tag itself, but we can't put it on the SVG tag. So what we've been doing is in this instance, instead of having the click listener in the SVG and passing that up to the parent using a custom event where you're just wrapping the element, let's see, not this one, in our add steps component, we're just wrapping the SVG components in their own div with the click listener on that div. So we're going to do the same thing with this really quick. So let's get started. And let's go into add task component, and we want to, or no, not add task. It's going to be in our SVG component. Alright, and here we will add a new file, and we'll call it delete svg.view. Alright, cool. Let's type scap. Hit tab to scaffold that out with basically a Vue boilerplate. And what do we want to do in here? So let's go to the add steps component, and we are going to, actually we're not going to go to this component. What we want to do is we're going to grab the SVG markup that we're working with, and so that is time solid. So all of this stuff is what we're going to grab. It's just going to be technically like an inline SVG. So I'll just copy that, and in the template tag we'll paste that in, and then similar to what I was doing with the other SVG component, I'm just gonna build it out just a tad bit so we can read it. Let's see. There's a lot of, we don't need the state icon classes. We don't need any of that at the moment. And let's just refer back to our other important SVG so we can see what we have. So the class we're going to use is step important SVG, and we'll have to create a class similar to that for the delete SVG as well. And if we look at it, it's just a div, or just a class with a flex of 1 because the action items are flexbox items, and then some fill changing classes that will apply to the path. Alright, cool. So okay, class equals, and we'll just say step delete, because in this one we just have step important, step delete SVG, just to kind of keep the same wording for the classes. And should be all we need. Let's just write that really quick in. So step dash delete dash SVG, and right away we're just going to add a flex on that of 1 so you can have that initial style on there. And we'll just make sure we don't forget our semicolons for CSS because things break. And I'm just going to copy the height and the width properties into this one just for the time being. We will have to adjust it a little bit, I'm sure, but so we're not going to need to worry about passing anything into this one necessarily. I think we just handle the logic on the outside of it, and it's just an icon essentially, so we won't have to worry about passing anything into it. We're not going to be, well, you know what, we're going to actually be having this a little bit of a grayed out color as well, and then when we hover over it we'll change the color black, so we will have to add some classes to the path to change the color, but we're not going to have to set the value of that dynamically. We're just going to probably use a hover. So let's just add a class in here. And then we can actually just delete this fill property so it's not overriding anything. And so in this, if we look at our other SVG, we have important SVG path, and we'll do the same thing for this. So class is delete SVG path, and let's go down and make that rule really quick. And then for this one, excuse me. Okay, so for this one, let's grab the same gray color that we're using for this, and that's just black with 25% opacity on the fill property. The fill is specific to the SVG stuff, I believe. And then the transition just for a little bit of a, not so abrupt change. And then the last thing we want to do is grab this kind of similar. We're not going to actually use this style because we're not going to be dynamically changing the classes. We're just going to have what do they call that? A CSS modifier, a pseudo selector, something or other. So delete dash SVG dash path, and then colon, and we'll do hover, and then for that we'll change the fill color to black, full black. So fill, and that's gonna be RGB 0, 0, and 0. Okay. So we got a lot of stuff ready here. Now let's throw it onto our app and see what happens here. So add steps component, back in that we are going to comment out this image for the time being, and then we'll just get rid of it in just a minute here. But before we do that, we're gonna get this component in and working. And this is actually the Netlify copy that's on screen at the moment. So if I close that out, we're gonna go to the local dev server and look at that. And so, okay, it's gone right now. That's fine. We're going to put a div in this for the outside wrapper because we have to attach that click listener to it, similarly to how we did it on the other two. So we'll just have a div with the class of action button outer. So dot action btn outer, and in there we can say, we'll call it app dash delete SVG. And I think pretty quick, one of the next upcoming live streams we're gonna, or I might just do it off stream, but I'm gonna go through and clean up the code and tie in different wording and whatnot, because I want to figure out some sort of what's the word, like prefixing and whatnot, so just so I can tell what's what and have some sort of like style down that's working for me, just to kind of clean it up a little bit. So just a FYI. Okay, so we have our custom element in there, but we need to register that component before we do go any further. So we'll just say import delete SVG from dot slash, that's actually dot slash, and then it's going to be in our SVGs folder, and delete SVG. And we don't need the dot view on there.
You know they're out there, don't you?
And then let's just register it, app dash delete SVG, and that is going to be set to the delete SVG that we just, no, not that. Alright, let's see if it's in there. Alright, it's in there. It's a little small, but it is the right color, so that's cool. So before we get back into our component, let's just get that click listener set up. And so on the outer div, we'll add our click listener. So it's gonna be at click, and this, the name of it was right here. So delete step, and then we have to pass the index of which step we want to delete. So delete step, and then we'll just pass I in like that. That should give us what we need to trigger it. So if we go in there, add a step, and then click it, okay, so the function is working. Now let's go back into that SVG component and see if we can adjust the styling a little bit. So you see how it fades in just ever so slightly. That's from this little transition property that we put on there. And so let's adjust this now. So I'm just going to take the height property off for the time being and then play around with the width. That's too big, still too big. Let's see. Oh, it needs both of them. Okay, let's see, 2.25. 2.25. Let's see what that gives us. We're getting there. Let's give it a little bit more. That looks pretty good. Let's see though, I feel like, let's take a look at the action outer divs and see where we're sitting at for spacing, because they look a little bit close. Gonna collapse these SVG paths. Yeah, see this SVG. I wonder if we could change the view box. Let's look at the view box. $352. Alright, so let's see. So this view box right here is kind of like the canvas that we're working with the SVG. So anything as far as paths that lie outside the view box won't be visible. It's kind of like a window inside. I watched a really good SVG animation talk with Sarah Drasner that just came out a couple days ago, I believe, on, what was it? I think it was Free Code Camp, and I'll have to link the video in the description. Anyways, it was really interesting. She really broke down SVGs and just made it like super approachable, and all this stuff, doesn't seem scary anymore because I understand kind of how it works, and she's an excellent teacher. I'll link the video, check it out, it's a great resource. Okay, so let's check this view box and see if we can goof around with some properties. So I'm looking at this X ending coordinate, so it's kind of like a box. So 0, 0 will be top left. That's the starting positions coordinates, and then the ending coordinates for like a box, so to speak, our view box. So our optional one is 384. Let's try putting that in here. See if we get similar size. And it moves around a little bit. Let's try. The problem with this is the stroke is just, I think it's bigger than these two overall, the thickness of it, so it's throwing it off a little bit. Let's bump this up to 400. Okay, so that moves it that way. We want to try 300. And I want to look at the padding. Padding right 1. Excuse me. Let's try adjusting that really quick. And let's bring this view box up just slightly to, we'll say 420. So that centers it out a little bit more. It's moving it over just slightly. Opening up the view box, making it a little bit more aligned. Let's bring up that, or I think if we bring it down 500, it'll get a little bit bigger because the view box isn't as big. So I'm just kind of trial by fire at the moment. Okay, so look, this thing down here, that's getting cut off, so we don't want that. And let's see if we can fix that. Okay, let's see. Just minor adjustments. And then, okay. Alright, I'm happy with it. Good enough for now. You can pull it together off camera or whatever, kind of like tighten it up, fix this. But it's working, and it deletes. So let's just look at the step wrapper. Where is it? Right here. Padding right 1. I'm just going to put that up to 2. Okay, so that looks a little bit better. So I just need to fix the size of the question mark just ever so slightly, possibly, and go from there. Cool. Alright, so got that taken care of. And so we can take a look at the media queries. Alright, so what do we want to do with these media queries? So when this gets to, alright, instead of having it like that, we're just gonna do it properly. Let's just take a look at this. So when we're at this mobile device size, we don't have much room to type in here. I mean, we do, but we'd like more room to work with. So I'll have to adjust the layout just ever so slightly. And so that again is going to be in the add steps component. I wonder if it would make sense to make like a mobile view component and just swap it out. So that seems like it would be tricky to do. Okay, so let's just get rid of that. We don't need that in there anymore. And let's take a look at our styles and see what's going on. So the step group is what's giving us our display of flex. And okay. So what I want to do is I'm going to split this view. So I want to be able to reference up here the same file. So down here I'm going to start writing some media queries. So we'll just do media screen and keyword. Let's say max width is going to be 480 pixels is what we're going with at the moment. And then the styling rules. So first one I want to look at is the step group. Step group, and let's just take a look and say display is inline block. Okay. You know what I think we will actually do for this is use CSS grid, since we'll be able to take our elements and just shift them around as need be. So let's get that going. So instead of inline block, we'll say grid. Alright, what does that give us? So everything is taking up 100%. It's one column and each row is taking up 100%. Okay, so CSS grid. It's kind of like Flexbox, kind of not like Flexbox. CSS grid is for a lot more like absolute definition of spacings, kind of, whereas Flexbox is meant to be more fluid. Again, this is a good opportunity to plug Wes CSS grid course, completely free, cssgrid.io. I'll link that in the description as well. Go ahead and check it out. It's like, I don't know, 15 to 18 videos, all where he goes really in depth about CSS grid and all the ways you can use it, and nested grid and all this good stuff. So go ahead and check it out. And so we're going to use that for this. So when we change to mobile view, instead of using Flexbox, we're going to be using grid. And so what I want to do for this is we want to set up the first column is going to be the label and the SVGs. So I can't even remember, to be honest. It's been a minute. Let's just look at well, let's just try really quick. So we'll say grid areas. Just taking a look at all these grid template areas. Okay. So we'll have action button, label, and input. Okay, so we'll put each section we want to do. If you look at this example, it says AAA, and that's the top section right here. A is set to the header, whereas B is set to the aside, and C is the main. And we just set it with CSS. So we want to set something up like that. So in this, we're gonna say label, and then space, and then we'll just say, it's kind of interesting because you're kind of like mapping it out visually with words on how you want it to like look. And some people hate the syntax, some people like the syntax. Could go either way. I think it's kind of interesting, to be honest, but anyways, this is how it goes apparently. So we'll do actions, label, actions, and then we say enter, and then another set of double quotes, and we're gonna say input, and then input again, because we want it to be, it's kind of like if we were to say 1FR, 1FR, and then this secondary row is 2FR, but we wouldn't be able to do that if we were to say something like grid template columns, because we would only be able to do one. If we were to say 1FR, 1FR, 2FR, then it's going to do 1, 2, and then a half for 3, 4. And it won't wrap. So this way we can get it kind of to wrap. Alright, so we got those two in there, and let's just name our stuff now. So let's look and see what the markup is calling it. Step group label. Step group is what we just adjusted. So step group label, step group input, and then step group action button. So that's what we're going to target, and that's why we were kind of being verbose about making sure we can tell what it's a part of and what exactly it is that it's a part of. Okay, so we'll just copy this first one here just so we have the sake of time. And we'll go back to the app so we can see what we're doing. Add step. Alright, it's already kind of doing a little bit of what we want if we look at it. So let's give it a quick refresh, and we're going to say step group label, and that is going to be, we're going to say grid area, and that's equal to, do we put it in quotes? I think so. Label. And we can just pull it up in the inspector to see if it's yelling at us about, okay, invalid, I think. Yeah, so we don't have quotes around it. So this grid area property assigns the CSS selector, the element that CSS selector is attached to, as the CSS grid template area. Hope that makes sense. Kind of just like assigning it where we want to go, and once we get all three in there, we can just swap them around based on what we call the grid area, and it makes it really nice for being able to kind of like plug and play things. Alright, so we'll say step group, and that's gonna be a period, not a slash, and we'll say step group action buttons and let's say grid area, and that one is going to be set to actions. Cool. And then last one will be step group input, and we've set that to grid area input. So that should give us the layout that we're looking for. Let's take a look and see. Cool. And these buttons are kind of spaced apart pretty well, but what we could do is say add another fractional in there, and these basically just work as fractionals with with labels that we can call upon. If we put a period in there, it'll add a blank thing, maybe. Let's see. Let's just write blank in there just to see. Let's take a look and see. If I give action buttons a width of like 4 rem, that spaces them together more, and then let's see. Let's take a look at this and see what they were doing here. The period represents nothing. Let's just play around with this just a little bit and see what happens. Okay, so go away. Kind of makes sense. So basically what it is happening is, hold on. Alright, so what's happening is when we have, say for instance, what we have going on right here, there's 2 spots. So label and actions. There's 2 spots, and on the secondary row there's 3 because there's input, and this period. So I think because this is glitching out right now, let's just take a look and see. Yeah, it's just collapsing in on itself. So we have to make sure that we have the same amount of sections per same amount of sections per line, so we can get that effect. So let's see, we'll put that space there, and then here we'll just put another input to make it 3. And let's just do it one more time, input, and give it another blank. Alright, cool. Let's see what's going on here. Okay, so let's just see if we can get this spaced out. Well, that'll probably work for now because I'll have to give it a test and see what it looks like on the phone, and if it's too, we don't want them too close together. Let's just say, I think that works pretty cool. If we have another step in there, we can do that. and give it a title, add it. Cool, everything seems to work. Invalid date, except that because we didn't put a date in, so we'll have to have a fallback for that. And then, so I want to put a modal here, a bootstrap modal, not this alert thing. Confirm. So, shouldn't be an issue though. Cool. And we can close this, we don't need to look at it twice, but we do have that going now, so that's nice. If we take responsive mode off, does it go back to how we like it or had it set up before? And it does. So if we trigger that, you can see that it just kind of jumps around. Cool thing about this is, like, if we want to switch it and just say dot and then just put the action on here, you see how it just jumps around like that. And we could set actions and swap the label, and it's reverse. So super powerful. Kind of gets a little bit used to, it takes a little bit getting used to, but once you get it down and understand what's going on, you can really do a lot with it. And cool, so we're gonna be checking that off our list. Oops. Completed task styling. I don't remember the context of that, to be honest, but I don't know. We'll see what that's about. But this completed styles for if completed on time or late, we might just be referring to that. I'll have to check my other notes. And if completed on time or late, so this due date and date completed section is what we want to kind of style. And based on if we completed the task before the due date or not. If so, we'll kind of like shade it a light green and then maybe a light red if it was completed after the due date, if it was late. So it sounds like it should be fine to do that pretty easily. Let's just take a look at our completed task. Alright, so we'll want to write a function. Actually, no, it's going to be a computed property. And if we look up here, this card header is what we're going to want. I know we're using a card header at the bottom of it, but that's alright because I like that little. We don't necessarily need the card header for that style. We'll just do a list item thing. And okay, hold on one second. I'm just gonna check the live stream. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay, let's see now. What we are doing is we're gonna get this. Okay, let's get out of this responsive mode really quick. We're gonna just get this background styled dynamically, and we can just throw that on this div right here. We're just gonna do a computed property. So we'll do that underneath the props above the methods and just say computed. And in here we want to say check if completed on time. And we're gonna say let's see, well, how do we get the can't remember, get time. Okay, super duper simple, but that's right. So get time is gonna be we're gonna want to take the due date and the completed date, and we're gonna say get time on both of them. So we'll say const due time equals this dot this dot details dot do, and we will say that get time. I don't know if it's gonna accept that. Alright, let's see what's going on here. Okay, so what I'm going to do instead of doing that for the time being is we're gonna say, oops, check if completed on time. Oh, we gotta put that inside handlebars. Oops. And now it's yelling at us. Okay. Not read property do of undefined. This dot completed task list. Sorry, I'm going through here really quick. This dot. Alright, so we need the ID. Step. Task index. This dot completed. Alright, let's see. Task index, completed task list. That should be fine. This completed task list, I. And what is it saying now? Kind of confused, but that's alright. I'll figure it out. I know what I'm going for, so that's what counts. Just trying to get this running at the moment. Bear with me. I think it's because let me try this really quick. Alright, I just want to see if we can get this called. So I put this in the methods. Alright, Let's see. And blah blah blah, all this stuff. Okay, so we got the right thing. Dot details dot do dot get time. Let's see if that gives us what we want. Refresh. It's not a function. Okay. So we gotta say new date and then date time equals const time equals do done dot get time. All right, does that give us what we want? Refresh.
My head was all fucked up. I sat down and relaxed and think
let's
about
console
my
log
situation.
time.
This record collecting is driving me nuts.
Okay,
It's taking
so this
all
is
my
what we're
time
searching
and
for.
money. No matter how many records I
Let's
get,
refresh
I'm never
it.
gonna be satisfied. What am I gonna do? This is like being a junkie.
Okay, so that's the due date, done date, and then we'll have to do the same thing for the completed date. So const let's just say actual done equals new date this dot completed task list, pass in the index dot details dot completed date. Cool. And I'll say and then we'll say const actual time equals actual done dot get time, and then we'll just say console.log do time minus actual time, and then that answer, if it's negative or positive, will give us our value. So let's see if what does that give us right here. So negative, and that is in fact late. And I just uncommented that so we could see this working again, because this is just a method now, and then we can just say const time diff equals time minus actual time, and then if time diff console log true. And so if is greater than 0. Okay, so if we're checking the milliseconds since the epoch and checking against each other, and if that time difference is greater than 0, then it's on time. So we still have time remaining in the due time to finish it, and the actual time is finished. And cool, so then what we'll do is set up a dynamic property. We'll switch this over to, try switching it over to a computed property and then setting that. Or we could just set a property in here called onTime, a boolean, and set that in here. We'll probably just do that and then set the style after that. Alright, cool. Alright, well, I'm going to take a break. It's going to be a little bit longer this time, but just bear with me. I'll be back in about 15-20 minutes, and we'll be back and finish up for the rest of the night with the checking if it's completed on time, and then we'll get started with the methods for the counter store. So I'll be back relatively shortly. Stay tuned, listen to the beats, go do something, make sure to come back, check out my Instagram, check out my GitHub, hang out, do whatever. RabbitWerks JavaScript. We'll be back in just a few. Stay chill. And we are back. Thank you for your patience tonight. I appreciate it. Sorry about the extended break. Had some things I had to wrap up before the end of the night. So, before I left, thank you for tuning in to RabbitWerks live coding, by the way. Music is brought to you by Free Code Camp Radio. Link is in the description. Go check them out. And I just wanted to say thank you for taking time out of your night, your day, wherever you are in the world. Thank you for checking out RabbitWerks JavaScript. It means a lot. Cool. And if you want to support the cause, feel free to give me a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel for all future live coding stuff too. Alright, cool. So where we were at is we were getting this function together, this method together, to determine whether we turned our task in on time or not. Okay, so right now it's all coming down to this console.log. And basically, if we have time remaining to finish it, we're going to console log on time, but in this case, we're just going to set a new property on our completed task list, and it's going to be underneath our due dates. We'll just set completed on time, and that we're just going to say check if completed on time function. I think we'll be able to do that, maybe. Oh, wait a second. Wait a second. Let's try this really quick. Let's go up to... Okay, so this card header, and underneath that is where we're going to want to bind to the class. Oops, sorry about my spelling mistakes. Class equals, and we're going to say, oops, not double. Task index. And let's refresh this. No errors. Okay, that's a good thing. Completed. Let's take a look at this element and see if our test is in there. So it's not. But that's because we turned it in late. So if we say, can we just not this and give it a refresh? It says true right here. What is that coming from? Oh, what are we doing here? We don't want that. Right here. So let's take a look and see. That gives us it. Okay, test. So it's in there. Cool. So I guess we'll have the default style be red. Or we could just say we'll have the default style be green, and if it's not completed on time. Or we could just reverse it in the logic. Let's just do it that way. So we'll just say if time difference is less than 0, we'll console log say, you don't even need a console log, we'll just say late. But return true. Else we just want to return Okay, let's see. And that still gives us our dynamic style. Cool. So let's get this tinted out. So for the moment, we just have we just have it called test, so we'll just call it test for the moment, and we're just gonna change test right away to on time, because test is not what I want to keep in there. I'm just gonna change it right away. Where is it? Up in our markup, and I'll say on time, or no, it's completed late, not on time, because we switched our logic. So the current is going to be on time. We'll have actually no, we're not even going to have that class. We will just set let's see, sorry about the scrolling, I'm just checking things out. Computed and then oops, let's see. So what I'm doing is instead, so I'll have just two classes, this on time, and we're gonna say completed late, and we're just gonna set the background color of this. Grab the bright green for RabbitWerks colors. We're gonna pull it in there, and we're just gonna get the RGB value, and we're just gonna change it. Just gonna drop the opacity on it by changing it to RGBA and changing the alpha. Let's see what that looks like if we have. Okay, let's see. So let's add a task. Due date is the 30th. Add current task or add new task on time. Let's open it up, complete it, archive it, move to the completed task section, and then, okay, so we finished it on time. No. Oh, I'm sorry, it won't appear yet because we haven't finished our computed style yet. And we'll just do like a red and then probably adjust it as we go. Probably just do something really light on that, and let's go back up to the computed properties and we'll just say set completed style. Okay, so set completed style will return an object, and it's gonna say this is what we're gonna do our logic that we have right here in. So we'll just grab that out of there. And we'll leave the brackets in there for now. We'll just paste that into our completed or computed style. And then on time is gonna be set to I don't know if we're gonna be able to grab the task index. Oh yeah, we'll pass in the task index right there. And now we want to just set this to not. So if it's, you know what, that's going to be super confusing. I'm going to switch this back. So if there's time remaining, we'll console log, and this is backwards anyways now that I'm looking at it, so let's just console log on time so we know, and we can just say console.log late. And okay, so check if completed task. So if there's time remaining, that means we finished it on time. Where is it? Oops, right there. We finished it on time. Then we want to apply the on time style. And if we didn't complete it on time, then we wanted to do the completed late style. So with our computed properties set up now, we can come back up to this task, this div with the card header and the dynamic styling that we're setting up, or dynamic classes. And we'll set it to the method or the computed property we just created. So we'll just say set completed color, and we'll pass in the task index. And I don't know if we put them in the brackets. No, we don't. We just run it like a regular function and refresh that. What is it saying? It's not defined. Oh, you know why? Because we have to say this, because we're calling it on the Vue instance. Okay. I think that should clear it up. Let's see. Alright, property details of undefined. What's going on now? That's broken. Alright, time to figure out what's going on. Just playing around with this, trying to figure out why it's not working. And return. Let's delete this. I just want to see what that error was that gave us. It's not defined. Let's just say index and index index. Yeah, I don't know. It's not running. For some reason, it's giving us an error because we're passing in. I don't know. I'm gonna comment that out for the time being, come back to it. I want to see if we can get this running. So we'll just take this background color and put it in the actually I'm confused on why this isn't working now, but that's half of the battle sometimes. I don't know if we can call it like that. Okay. Time out. Let's go back up here for a second and just say missing something here. I'm just trying to figure out what's going on. Let's just do it inline. What the heck? We're gonna just take these two things that we just wrote and we're gonna put them right in line and see if that works. And then we'll go from there. Move this over just slightly. Refresh it. What's going on now? Delete this. More errors, details of undefined. What about just one? Oh, wait a second. I just want to pass in the task index here. Okay, there we go. Oh, geez Louise. Okay. So let's take a look at where we're at right now. We got completed, and so it's applying that correctly. Backwards though. Okay, so what is that? Okay, so if it's greater than 0, back up here, so there we go. So this one was completed before it was due, and this one was completed after it was due. Alright, cool. What a little bit of rigmarole for that, but that's alright. Computed properties. Okay. Let's see. We got. Let's just mark that and. Alright, now we can look at. Let's jump into the methods for this counter store and. Let's see. Let's pull up that file really quick. Okay, so basically the way that I was running this in kind of like a practice session, and basically we're going to keep track of some stats in this store, and we'll access it from different parts of our application and update the values in it, and then return the values back to our application. So we'll have, when I get like a nav bar in here, we'll have like a little thing that we can drop down and show like stats, and it'll show like all of this information, and that'll store in, I don't know, if we get a database and, you know, login system setup, but I just want to get some sort of like tracking going right now. And then I'm currently working on learning Vuex, so when I get more comfortable with that, we'll probably take a live session on this and convert this app over to use Vuex. So we'll see how that turns out, but that's something that I would like to do. Okay, so this get ratio thing is not actually going to be in there. It's going to be a computed property. I know we were just having a hard time with that, but this one is going to be a computed property because it's just something that's going to be super simple. Our methods, they're going to be where we're going to have to focus for the most part. And we need to, before we do anything, we need to import our event bus. Oh, it's in our main file, that's right. Okay, store event from main. Cool. And so, alright, let's take a look at the first property that we have. We have current tasks, and So we have custom events that we're going to use for this, and we'll just say update num current tasks, and it's going to be a function that's going to take a parameter of so I'm just gonna see if I can get this running how I had it set up before and go from there, and we might have to just troubleshoot a little bit, and if it becomes too much of a hassle then we'll just have to jump straight into Vuex. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to import the store, and we'll register it globally if I can find that. Let's see. Components, component registration. I just want to check global. That's for components. Let's just see custom events, because they'll register the event bus. Okay, not gonna worry about it. Okay, so update num current tasks. We'll say this dot num current tasks equals num of tasks. So we want to hold this data. It's going to be held in our store, and let's see. And then we can just pull the values from it into our component. So like the settings or the statistics component. And let's see, whatever we have set up for that, stats, progress. I'm just reading over this really quick and checking it in my head. So let's see, we got that current task. So let's look at our add task component, and because we're going to want to call this method every time we add a task, every time we delete a task, when we load the application will populate this this information from the completed store or completed task list in the current task list local storage data. So, okay, we need to find our button, and that is right here. And the add new task function. I don't know why there's parentheses there, but we'll just roll with it for now. I'm sure there's a good reason. Add task. Okay, so this is what we're gonna want to do. Let's trace it down. So this is gonna emit new task added, and it passes the new task data. So let's check out our task list. And looks like save to local storage is going to be our kingpin, or our common thread between all of this stuff, because we're going to want to update our store whenever we do anything that we have to save to local storage for this instance of that, for this property. So if we delete, if we add a task, and when we load the app, and when we update the new details, we won't need to do it on that one, but we won't need to do it on that one. We'll just need to do it on the archive, save, and then our new task. Excuse me. Give me 1 sec, I'll be right back. I just gotta grab something. Stepping away for just a second. Alright, cool. Thank you for that. And so, what do we need to do here? We got a ton of methods going on right now. That's alright. So, we're gonna, first thing we gotta do is import our store so we can use it. So, we'll say right underneath the event bus, we'll say import store from store.js. And it looks like it's putting the extensions in on this, but that isn't necessary. Alright, so cool. Now we have our store in there, so we'll just run down here and alright, so here are the methods, and then we have the methods, the custom events that are calling those methods, the event bus, and okay, so we'll do it through the event bus. So let's start at this for the mounted lifecycle hook, the add new task added, completed false, and after this push, or after we push the new task to the task list, we're gonna just say store dot let's see, I think we can do it like this. If not, we'll try something else. So update num current tasks, and then we pass in this dot task list dot length, and let's just set that property underneath the task list. So this closing array square bracket, and let's just say task list that's going to be set to oh, you know what, I think this is going to be a computed property actually. Computed, and we'll say task list length, and that's a function that returns, not returns, return this dot task list dot length. All right, and then we'll just say, we'll call that property when we pass in, or we'll pass that property in with our event right here. This dot task list length. And we have to invoke it. Yeah. Now what does it say? View is not defined. Oh, we gotta pull view into import view from view. Alright, refresh that. Let's see, what is it saying? Get ratio is not a function. Okay, there we go. Alright, no more errors. Cool. So, let's see now, where are we at? So store.update num current tasks, this task list.length. And if this gets called, let's console.log this.num current tasks. Okay, let's add a new task and see if that works. So I'll just say blah 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 and a bunch of errors. Task list length. Oh, it's so confusing sometimes. It's not defined. This dot task list length. Refresh. Okay. So computer properties are not invocable functions. So for instance, that's what it's been telling me. So the store, that's why if we had it on there, it was giving us an error saying it's not a function, it's not an invocable function, it's a computed property. So Vue.js looks at it as a data property. And same with this deal. When we tried to invoke it down here, it was giving us an error when we did it because it's not a function, it's a computed property. So we do have to call it on the Vue instance with this, and then we can target that property. Cool. Okay, so let's refresh this all and just go like this and just say blah blah blah, add task, and we see we have 6 there. So that property is changing, but we need to zero it out. And so let's see, created. So let's see if I can just call that right here. So when we create this, it should set it to 0. We have a ton of tasks in there, so it's giving us probably the right information, to be honest. Delete all those, and let's just add a task. So it should say 2. And we have it. Cool. Excellent. And then what we want to say is we're going to call this function when we delete a task. What did we do? Did we do it? Right there, and after everything. Just looking to see. Where that gets saved at. and emit ls. We don't even need to be doing that extra thing on this. We don't need to emit it there for that event bus because we can just call that method on this instance. So we'll just say right here, we'll call it this dot save to local storage, and then we'll update the store. Okay, so cool. Update the store, update the store, and update the store. So now if we delete a task, we should see 1. And we have 1 right here. I don't know if you can see that. Okay, so we do have that 1 right there. And that's the total number of tasks we have. Alright, cool. Now, what we could do is, let's see, task list in our, let's look at our app quick, and then it's just to say I just want to demonstrate this really quick. Store from /store.js, and then so what we can say is store data an object and just say tasks. That's going to be set to, I think we can just go like the store dot data dot current tasks, comma that on. Okay, and then if we were to say, just interpolate that here. Oh, store data dot current tasks. Store. Let's just call it store. Call it store data because store will confuse me. Alright, let's see. No errors, that's good. We have 0 num current tasks. Why do we have that? Alright, let's see if that changes really quick. I just want to add a task. So what we have to do is Okay, there we go. There's a 2 there now. Okay, let's see what we do here. This store data current tasks equals store num current tasks, and we have all of them in there, and we can call the methods and stuff like that too. So I think that's just because it's a Vue instance in a JavaScript file. I don't know. Okay, what are we doing? So setting the initial value on load, maybe. Oh wait, let's see. So let's look at our local storage load really quick. Let's see. Zero. Okay, so if we delete the task, we add a task. Just want let's see. Geez, let's see. Trying to figure out why this is not running through properly. So I'm gonna try and set up a custom event here and see if I can just pass the data back like that. So we'll just say and then if I go to app and write that event bus dot second part of it, the on and updated task account. New count, and I just want to say this dot store data dot current tasks equals new count. I don't know, this seems starting to get a little bit convoluted. Refresh, add a task. It's like not updating. Alright, that's okay. Okay, so I'm gonna call it for this point. Let's see if I can. Okay. Yeah. Alright, so I'm gonna take a closer look at my demo that I was doing with this and see if I can get it converted over and excuse me, running, and then we'll pick up, try and get it going next time. If not, we're gonna just jump right into Vuex and go from there. Let's see if I can pull that up. Let's see. So I've been using this sweet tool, CodeSandbox. And it's basically Visual Studio Code in the browser, and it's great. It's got, you can build out single file component or applications really easily. And so I usually build out some Vue quick starter projects pretty quickly. So I'm gonna pull up one of my sandboxes that this is what I'm pretty much working on. So counter 5 store is this, it just has a counter and a few different methods that like add +1 to the counter, -1 to the counter, resets the counter, and then adds the counter know, plus equal like the amount of items that we're adding in. So each time we add one in, we add that value to that. We could just be doing the plus equals or plus one or whatever. So if we look at the app, basically each button, click, and it executes an add click. Make it a little bigger so people can see. And we look at the methods. Basically, we're calling the methods on the store and setting our information with the data information in the store. So, I mean, it seems to work. So I'm gonna try and get this adapted to our Tasker project over the next couple days, and we'll go from there. And let's see, refresh that and just delete all these. We don't need those in there. Cool. So I think that's going to do it for this session of live coding with RabbitWerks, and let's just refer back and do a recap. So we got our delete step to an SVG, and it's got a nice little fade on it. And cool. Then we also fixed up some more media query stuff, and we got our add task component set up so that it rearranges using CSS grid. Let's look at it one more time. So yeah, looks pretty nice. And then if we flip back to the regular view, it goes back to the flexbox displaying. So we fixed that styling, and then we added this completed task styling too. So we can take a look at that, minimize that, and go into completed task form, and these panels right here basically are showing if we completed them on time or not. And I'm just gonna adjust the green on this a little bit because it seems quite vivid. It seems a little dark or a little light. There we go. Maybe one more. Cool. And then let's just bring this one up just a tad bit more. Alright, so you can see that if it's completed late, it's red, and if it's completed on time or early, it's green. Pretty cool. And let's see. Yeah, so we got those styles finished too. Cool. So I think this is going to be a good place to stop for the night. And what I'm going to do, I'll commit the code, push it to GitHub, and it'll redeploy to Netlify. You can check it out and give me a comment, subscribe, feedback, anything like that. I would be more than happy to take a look at any suggestions, any pull requests, anything cool like that. And before we get going, I'm going to switch focus for just a minute. I'm going to open up another project that I'm going to be working on, that I've been working on, that I want to bring out to the public pretty quick here. And it's going to be that filter app that we built, or that I'm building, and I'm going to submit to Free Code Camp Radio, possibly as code along. So let's just take a look and see what we got here. So it's going to be like a 3 or 4 component app when it's all said and done. We just have a data property holding filters with the suffixes and the different names, setting them, updating filter values, and then creating a canvas and then downloading that image from a canvas, bouncing it from the canvas to a JPEG and downloading that with the filters applied. You just have some basic styling as well. So, what does this all look like? Let's take a look. Oh. npm serve. That spin it up. Excuse me. Jeez, what the heck? Oh, you know what? It's npm run serve. Sorry. So let's spin up that really quick. We'll take a look. All right. Let's just double click that, bring up our new app. Oh. It's still building. Filtrify photo. Cool. So this is just a quick little demo of what we can do with it. So if I pull up a URL, and let's see. Where's that link? Here it is. Link from Cloudinary, pulls it up. We can adjust different filters, contrast, brightness, hue, rotate, which is pretty cool. The invert. And I'll put an option to remove this border. It's just some padding, but it does get affected by the invert. Saturate, and then sepia as well. So we'll have a reset filters button, and then we can be able to save the image. When we're all said and done, it's not going to be that big. It's going to be make it crazy colors. Okay, so just working on getting this download to work. It does work when the quality is lower, but when it's full quality like this, it's not. It's giving me kickback, so not to worry though. Should be able to fix it, and it should be pretty fairly simple, straightforward walkthrough on Vue.js making a photo filter app. And cool. So I just wanted to share that with everyone tonight. Just kind of give a quick sneak peek of what is going on with that, and I believe this is on. I'll have this hosted on Netlify pretty quick as well, if it's not already, and they'll have that information readily available next session as well. Cool. Alright, I think that's going to do it finally for the evening. Thank you so much for tuning in to another session of RabbitWerks live coding. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned a couple things, or at least a thing or two. I know I've been learning a ton, and I'm happy to be going on this journey with all of you. It's really fun. Thanks again, Free Code Camp Radio, for the awesome tunes and the good vibes. We'll be talking to you soon about the Filtrify photo app. Cool. Alright, so feel free to give this a like, comment, or subscribe if you really want to get some more information about the channel, get all the updates on all the live streams. Tune in next time. I look forward to seeing everybody. And in the meantime, you can check me out on Instagram at RabbitWerks.js, and you can check me out on Twitter at RabbitWerks without the, or RabbitWerksJS without the dot. And then, yeah, GitHub as well. And we'll see you next time. Have a good night, everybody. Have a good day, everybody, wherever you are around the world. And stay awesome. Take it easy. We'll see you next time. Take care. Bye. Take care, everybody.